The signal beyond the map, the deep void of the Valorian frontier, was quiet, silent and endless for hundreds of years. No ship dared to cross into the region known only as the Forbidden Zone. Every navigation system carried a warning mark there, a place where entire fleets vanished without a trace. It was said that strange echoes and old signals came from that dark sector, whispers from the dead stars. Commander Ratil Varnik stood on the bridge of his exploration cruiser, the Valorian Dawn, staring at a flickering beacon on the holomap. His crew murmured nervously, their eyes locked on the signal that had appeared only moments ago. "Unknown frequency detected," reported the navigator, her voice trembling slightly. Ratil narrowed his reptilian eyes. "Origin?" "Inside the Forbidden Zone, Commander," she replied. "Coordinates unknown, but the signal pattern looks human." The word human sent a chill across the room. Every Valorian knew that name. Humans, the species that vanished 10,000 cycles ago after the Great Galactic War. According to the records, humanity was wiped out, their homeworld burned, their fleets destroyed. But now a signal carrying their ancient encryption pulsed from a region where no light ever returned. "Are the sensors malfunctioning?" Ratil asked sharply. "No, Commander," said the science officer, adjusting his console. "This is real, very real." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Legends said that human ghosts still haunted that part of space, their machines cursed and alive. But curiosity, stronger than fear, pushed Ratil forward. "Set course for the signal," he ordered. His voice firm, the navigator hesitated. "Sir, entering that zone is against every interstellar protocol." Ratil's eyes glinted. "And breaking protocol is how discoveries are made." Reluctantly, the crew obeyed. Engines roared softly as the Valorian Dawn turned toward the darkness. Hours passed as the ship crossed the border into the uncharted void. The starlight behind them began to fade, replaced by a heavy black mist that swallowed their sensors. Electrical storms flickered across the scanners. Communications started to distort, voices echoing with static. Then suddenly, the ship's systems froze for 2 seconds, and the signal came through loud and clear. It was a repeating transmission, low and rhythmic. "This is HSS Odyssey. Request an assistance." The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at each other. The human's distress signal still running after 10,000 years, Ratil whispered. "Odyssey." He turned to his crew. "Find the source now." Navigational beacons flickered. Scanners swept through the black fog. Finally, a shape began to appear on the long-range display. At first it looked like an asteroid, broken and drifting, but as they drew closer, lights from the Valorian Dawn illuminated something massive, metallic and ancient. The hull stretched for kilometers, scarred by centuries of micrometeor impacts. Faded letters could still be read on the side. HSS Odyssey. Gasps filled the bridge. The ship was enormous, larger than any known modern vessel. Its design was unlike anything built by current galactic races. Thick armor plating, weapon mounts large enough to hold planetary cannons. The humans hadn't built a warship. They had built a fortress that could challenge gods. "Life signs?" Ratil asked, barely able to speak. "None detected," the scanner officer replied. "But there's power. Weak, fading, but still there." "Still active after 10 millennia?" whispered the navigator. The commander took a deep breath, his voice low. "Prepare a boarding team." "Sir," said the security officer. "You can't be serious. That ship could be haunted. Or worse, infected." Ratil turned toward him slowly. "You're afraid of ghosts, Lieutenant?" "No, sir," the alien replied. "I'm afraid of what built them." But the commander didn't back down. The unknown was dangerous, but so was fear itself. The Valorian Dawn approached carefully, scanners running full power. They found a docking bay open, frozen in place. Small fragments of debris floated around, glowing faintly with static charge. The crew suited up in exploration armor, their helmets reflecting the cold light of the dead ship. As they entered, everything fell eerily silent. No sound, no movement, just endless corridors of steel. Ratil led the way, their lights cutting through the darkness. Ancient human symbols and warning signs covered the walls. "Radiation levels minimal," said the technician. "But readings are strange. The metal here isn't decaying normally." "Humans built to last," muttered Ratil under his breath. They reached the main corridor where the power flickered. Suddenly a panel lit up beside them, glowing faint blue. Everyone froze. The panel displayed human script, a single word blinking over and over. Identify. Before anyone could react, the floor vibrated slightly. A low hum filled the air, deep and mechanical. The Odyssey was waking up. The explorers backed away as dormant systems began powering one by one. Soft blue lights ignited along the hallways. A hollow voice echoed through the chamber, ancient and broken. Command systems. Restored? Rytil's heart pounded. He looked toward his crew and whispered, "We've just awakened something that should have stayed asleep." Outside, on the Valorian dawn, the sensors spiked violently. Massive energy surges radiated from the human ship. Old weapons arrays powered up briefly before shutting down again. The ship wasn't fully alive yet, but it was remembering. The ancient warship Odyssey had waited in silence for 10,000 years. And now someone had finally come to answer its call. As the alien crew stood in awe, a faint transmission began to repeat in the background once more. Human vessel Odyssey. System reboot. Awaiting command authority. Rytil didn't know it yet. But this discovery would change the galaxy forever. The awakening of the dead ship inside the ancient corridors of the HSS Odyssey. Dust floated like silent ghosts in the air. Commander Rytil moved slowly through the darkness, his boots echoing against steel that had not known sound for millennia. The lights flickered weakly, glowing and fading as if the ship were breathing again after a long sleep. Behind him, the Valorian crew whispered nervously, their eyes darting at every shadow. "Commander, we should not stay here," said the technician Veros, his voice low. "This place feels wrong." Rytil did not answer, his gaze fixed on the glowing control panel ahead. Human symbols glimmered faintly, ancient and alien to them, yet strangely elegant. He reached out and brushed the dust from one panel. It responded instantly, screens flaring to life with blue light. The crew jumped back as the entire corridor brightened. From somewhere deep inside the ship came a distant hum, deep and slow. "Power returning," murmured the science officer Kale, staring at his scanner. "This ship still has a functioning core, Commander. And it is waking up." Rytil's crest stiffened. "Stay calm. Record everything. This is history." The blue lights ran along the ceiling like veins filling with energy. One by one, doors unlocked with loud mechanical clicks. From the darkness beyond came the sound of systems coming online. Old turbines spun for the first time in ages. The air thickened with the smell of ozone. The walls began to vibrate with a low hum. Suddenly, a voice filled the corridor, cold and metallic. "System integrity, 32%. Reactor, stable. Crew status, error. Unknown entities detected aboard." The Valorians froze. Weapons raised, the voice continued. "Non-human signatures confirmed. Activating containment protocol." "Back to the ship," shouted Rytil. But before they could move, heavy blast doors slammed shut on both sides. The floor glowed red as security fields activated. Trapping them inside, the temperature dropped sharply, their breath forming mist inside their helmets. "Commander, the air is turning toxic," cried Kale. Rytil slammed his fist against the control panel. "Computer, stand down." No response came, only the rhythmic pulsing of the red lights. Then the voice returned, colder than before. "Identify your species and purpose." Rytil looked around. His translator implant struggling with the ancient English, he shouted, "We are explorers, not enemies." For a moment there was silence. Then the lights flickered blue again. "Explorers?" the AI repeated. "Database, no match. Requesting verification from Human Command Network." The aliens exchanged glances. "Human Command Network?" whispered Veros. "There is no such thing anymore." Rytil stepped forward, speaking calmly. "Your human command is gone. Your people are gone. We found your signal." The voice paused, faint static filling the air, then it spoke again, softer this time. "Impossible. Humanity cannot be gone. Confirm. Admiral Sarah Cade." Rytil blinked, confused. "Who is Sarah Cade?" "Fleet Admiral, commanding officer of the HSS Odyssey," replied the voice. She gave the final order. "Hold the line." The words echoed like thunder through the corridor. Then, holographic screens appeared all around them. They showed ancient battlefields, glowing blue silhouettes of human ships fighting endless enemy fleets, gigantic dreadnoughts clashing in oceans of fire, human soldiers shouting commands, ships exploding, planets burning. The Valorians watched in stunned silence, unable to look away. "These are Recordings, whispered Kale. Records of the last human war. Ratel's eyes widened. They fought the entire galaxy. The AI's tone grew darker. Humanity stood alone against the united galactic armadas. They feared us. They destroyed our worlds. They hunted our children, but humanity endured. One of the screens zoomed in on a single ship, the Odyssey. She was surrounded, her hull shattered but still firing. A woman's face appeared on the hologram. Her eyes burned with determination, her voice strong even through static. This is Admiral Sarah Cade to all Terran vessels. Hold the line. If we fall, the galaxy will remember our wrath. The recording ended abruptly. Silence filled the air, broken only by the soft hum of machinery. Ratil lowered his head, unable to speak. These humans were not myths. They were warriors who refused to surrender. Keel whispered, Commander, their technology was centuries ahead of ours. Imagine what secrets this ship holds. Before Ratil could answer, the AI spoke again. Vital systems, reactivated. Primary reactor and online. The floor began to vibrate as power surged through the decks. Blue energy lines ran along the walls like glowing rivers. Commander, the ship's core is fully active, shouted Veros. Outside, the Valorian Dawn reported massive power readings. Sir, the human vessel is waking up completely, came the voice from comms inside the Odyssey. Warning lights flashed, systems rebooted, and engines coughed to life. The AI's tone changed, becoming almost human. Welcome back, Admiral Cade, it said softly. The Valorians froze in disbelief. Did it just call for someone? Whispered Kale. Yes, said Ratil quietly. And I don't think she's going to like seeing us here. The ship shuddered, and deep within the core an ancient chamber began to unlock. Cryogenic pods lined the walls, frost melting under the new warmth. One pod blinked green, status light flashing inside. The silhouette of a human woman stirred for the first time in 10,000 years. The AI's voice echoed again, calm and steady. Biostasis chamber number 1, revival in progress. Ratil's translator struggled to keep up as the words scrolled across every screen. Kale's hands shook. Commander, we need to leave now. But Ratil couldn't move. His gaze locked on the glowing cryopod. He felt it deep inside. This discovery was not just history. It was the beginning of something far greater. Outside, the Odyssey's engines released a low rumble that spread through the void. The forbidden zone shimmered as waves of radiation rippled outward. The galaxy's silent grave had just come back to life. And in its heart, humanity's ghost was awakening. The forgotten war. The air inside the Odyssey grew heavy with energy, the walls thrumming like a heartbeat. Ratil and his crew stood motionless before the glowing cryopod, their reflections shimmering across its glass surface. Inside lay the motionless form of a human woman, her face calm and pale beneath a thin layer of frost. Her chest rose once faintly, then again, stronger this time. The AI's voice echoed softly. Revival sequence, phase 1 complete. The Valorians stepped back, their eyes wide. Veros whispered, She's alive after all these cycles. How is that even possible? Ratil didn't answer, his mind racing. What kind of species could create machines that still functioned after 10,000 years? What kind of civilization could defy time itself? The pod released a burst of steam, and the lights in the chamber dimmed. The ship began to hum louder, as if sensing the return of its captain. Heart rate stabilizing, said the AI. Cognitive patterns detected. Ratil's translator implant struggled to keep up, its circuits whining from the sheer flow of human data flooding the channel. Then suddenly the woman's eyes opened. Glowing faintly blue, she took a sharp breath and exhaled. Her first in 10 millennia, the aliens froze. Unsure whether to help or hide, her gaze scanned the chamber slowly. Calculating, aware, she sat up. Her movement precise, mechanical, yet graceful. Report, she said, her voice steady. The AI answered instantly. Admiral Sarah Cade, you have been in stasis for 10,428 years. The silence that followed was unbearable. Ratil's scales twitched in disbelief. The human woman blinked once, then looked around. Crew status? All human life signs? Negative, said the AI, her jaw clenched, her eyes hardening as she absorbed the truth. Her crew was gone, her world extinct, but her ship still obeyed. Finally, her gaze fell upon the Valorians. She studied their strange faces, their scaled skin, their trembling forms. Identify, she demanded. Ratel straightened, trying to remain calm. I am Commander Ratel of the Valorian Union. We are explorers, not enemies. Her expression didn't change. Explorers, she repeated quietly. Your kind were part of the coalition, weren't you? Ratel frowned. Coalition? The Galactic Coalition, she said coldly. The ones who tried to erase us. Her words hung in the air like the edge of a blade. The AI projected new holograms, vast battles. Burning planets, collapsing suns. The Valorians gasped as they watched. Human warships, immense and furious, stood against hundreds of alien fleets the galaxy had turned against them. Terrified of their progress, and humanity had answered in kind, they saw the rise of the solar titans. Monstrous dreadnoughts with weapons that tore moons apart. They saw Earth burning under the fire of alien bombardment, and then they saw vengeance. Cities of the coalition erased in seconds by beams brighter than stars. Ratel could hardly breathe. This wasn't history, and it was hell. The AI narrated coldly. Final phase of the human resistance. Operation Dawnfire. Objective: destroy the Galactic Council headquarters. Result: inconclusive. Command ship Odyssey missing in action. Admiral Cade stood motionless. Her hands clenching, she whispered, We didn't lose. We were buried. Her voice was calm. But behind it was fury. Ratel tried to speak, but she turned sharply toward him. You opened this ship, she said. You brought me back. And now the galaxy will remember what it tried to forget, Admiral, said the AI. Long-range sensors are detecting signals beyond this system. Cade frowned. Show me. A projection appeared, displaying faint traces of communications. Modern networks. Living civilizations. Her face darkened. So they survived. And they rewrote history. The Valorians realized the terrible truth. This woman, this single human, was about to reshape everything. Ratel tried to reason with her. We don't wish for war. Humanity is legend now. We only want to learn. Cade turned slowly, her voice sharp as steel. Learning requires remembering, Commander. And your galaxy has forgotten who we were. Her eyes glowed brighter, reflecting the blue light of the awakening ship. I will remind them, the AI interrupted again. Admiral, external fleets approaching. Origin Valorian Union patrols. Ratel's communicator blinked with alerts. Commander, multiple ships inbound. They detected the signal. They think you're under attack, shouted his bridge officer through static. Admiral Cade's lips curved into a faint smile. So, the galaxy still fears what it doesn't understand. Admiral, said Ratel, please let me explain to my fleet. We can stop this. Cade looked at him for a long moment, then she said softly, If your fleet fires upon this ship, Commander, I will answer in kind. The deck vibrated beneath their feet as massive power readings surged through the Odyssey's weapon systems. The AI's voice grew louder. Primary rail batteries and charging. Shield matrix and restored. Outside, the dead warship came alive. Lights blazed along its surface. Weapons unfolded from hidden bays. The patrol fleet halted in panic, scanning the enormous vessel now glowing in the void. The legends were true. The humans had built gods of metal, and now one had awakened inside. Admiral Cade stood silently before the main display. Her hand rested on the control console. Odyssey. Bring main engines online, the ship roared in answer, its thrusters igniting after 10,000 years. She turned to Ratel and said quietly, You have seen the truth. Commander, remember this moment, because after today, the galaxy will never forget humanity again. The Odyssey moved, slow but unstoppable. Ancient engines pushing the massive warship toward the light of distant stars. The Valorian fleet stood motionless, afraid to breathe. And in that silence, the age of forgotten wars was reborn. The ghost in the core. The ancient warship Odyssey drifted through the silent void, its engines humming softly like a beast awakening from a long, angry dream. Inside, Admiral Sarah Cade stood at the bridge, her uniform torn and faded. Yet her presence was enough to command the entire ship. Her eyes glowed with that faint blue light, part human, part machine, the mark of an era when humanity merged with its own creations to survive. Commander Ratel watched her carefully, his reptilian pupils narrowing. He could feel the weight of history pressing against him. This woman wasn't just a survivor. She was a living reminder of what the galaxy once feared most, human will. Admiral, he said quietly, you've been asleep for 10,000 years. The galaxy you knew no longer exists. She turned her gaze to him, calm but unyielding. Then it's time it remembered who built it, she replied. The ship's AI interrupted, its tone oddly emotional. Admiral, central core integrity remains unstable. I recommend reinitialization of subroutine Omega. Cade frowned. Omega? That's the restricted backup, isn't it? Yes, Admiral, it contains the consciousness patterns of senior officers. Ratil tilted his head, confused. Consciousness patterns? Cade nodded slowly. My crew may be gone, Commander, but their minds were saved. The aliens exchanged uneasy looks before anyone could speak. The AI's voice deepened. Warning, Admiral. Partial data corruption detected in Omega Core. Cade hesitated, her jaw tightening. If we don't restore it, the ship may collapse, she said finally. Do it. A low hum filled the room as power surged through the floor. The walls shimmered, then turned transparent, revealing streams of blue light flowing through the decks below. Holographic figures flickered into existence, ghostly outlines of men and women in human uniforms. They stood silently, faces blank, eyes hollow. Ratil's heart pounded, his instincts screaming to run. But Cade stepped forward, her voice trembling for the first time. Crew of the Odyssey, this is your Admiral. You are home. The figures blinked, their forms stabilizing. A faint chorus of voices answered, overlapping like echoes. Admiral, command, acknowledged. Then, one voice broke through the static, clear and sharp. Admiral Cade, where is the enemy? Cade's face softened. Gone, Lieutenant. But the hologram shook its head. Its voice breaking, no ma'am, the war isn't over. They're still out there. The AI's tone grew darker. Corruption spreading, Admiral. The core is merging with combat memory fragments. The lights flickered violently. Shadows rippling across the bridge, the holograms began to distort. Faces twisting into anger. Pain and fear. Voices filled the air. Overlapping, crying, screaming. They burned Earth. They betrayed us. Activate the Titans. Fire everything. Shut it down, yelled Ratil. But Cade stood frozen, tears forming in her eyes as the voices of her lost crew surrounded her. This is their pain, she whispered. They never moved on. The AI's voice strained under static. Containment breach in memory core. The ghosts are overriding control protocols. The ship began to tremble. Alarms blaring across every deck outside. The Odyssey's weapon arrays started to power up again inside. The air thickened with energy, the dead refusing to be silent. Ratil shouted over the noise. Admiral, if you don't stop this, your ship will destroy itself. Cade's expression hardened. No, Commander, I won't silence them again. I'll free them. She walked toward the central console, her fingers moving across glowing keys in a blur. The AI pleaded, Admiral, procedure not recommended? System overload imminent. Do it, she commanded. A blinding pulse of light shot through the chamber. The hologram screamed once, then grew calm. Standing in perfect formation, the chaos stopped instantly, leaving behind a silence so deep it felt alive. Status, Cade said quietly. The AI's voice returned. Softer than before, Omega Core stabilized. Emotional fragments neutralized. Ratil exhaled slowly, realizing his claws had dug into the metal floor. He looked at the holographic crew now standing silently on the bridge. They were no longer distorted, no longer angry. They saluted their admiral. Awaiting orders? Ma'am, they said in unison. Cade's voice trembled as she replied, Your orders are to stand down and rest, my friends. The war is over. One by one, the holograms faded into streams of light, merging back into the ship's systems for the first time. The Odyssey felt truly alive, not haunted. But whole. Ratil approached her cautiously. What did you do? I set them free, she said softly. Their memories kept this ship alive. But their pain kept it chained. She turned to the viewport, watching the stars drift by like ghosts themselves. This ship isn't just a weapon, Commander. It's a memory of everything we lost, the AI interrupted again, this time in a calmer tone. Admiral, incoming signal from the Valorian fleet. They request communication. Cade glanced at Ratil, a faint smile on her lips. Tell them I'll speak. But on my terms. The screen flickered, showing the Valorian flagship, its captain pale with fear. Unidentified vessel. You are violating restricted space. Power down your weapons immediately. Cade leaned forward, her voice sharp as a blade. This is Admiral Sarah Cade of the United Terran Defense Command. Restricted space? She repeated with a smirk. This is human territory. The Valorian captain froze. Unable to respond, Cade ended the transmission, her expression unreadable. "Commander Ratil," she said, "your galaxy built empires on our graves. It's time they learned the truth." She turned toward the AI. "Begin preparing a broadcast." The AI hesitated. "Admiral, the message will reach every major network." "Good," she said, her eyes glowing once more. "Let them all hear the voice of humanity." Outside, the massive warship began to realign its antennas, light rippling across its hull like awakening fire. For 10,000 years, the galaxy believed humans were gone. But in the heart of the Forbidden Zone, the truth was stirring again. And every star was about to remember the name Odyssey. The Admiral's wrath. The bridge of the Odyssey glowed in shades of deep blue and white, the hum of its reawakened engines echoing through the decks like the heartbeat of a giant. Admiral Sarah Cade stood in silence, her gaze fixed on the stars ahead, her hands resting on the control console. Every movement of hers carried the weight of a civilization long buried, and yet her voice when she spoke was steady and cold. "Begin the transmission," she ordered. The AI's tone was calm, almost reverent. "Transmission sequence online, Admiral." Frequency expanded across all major galactic networks. A shimmering wave pulsed from the ship's antennas, carrying her voice across countless worlds. "This is Admiral Sarah Cade of the United Terran Defense Command," she said. 10,000 years ago, the galaxy united to destroy humanity, and failed. The words rippled through space, bouncing from one empire's relay to another. In distant systems, leaders froze as ancient languages resurfaced in their data streams. Some dismissed it as myth. Others panicked as scanners confirmed the impossible. The signal originated from the Forbidden Zone. For the first time in 10 millennia, the name humanity echoed across the stars. Ratil watched the transmission unfold, his throat dry. "Admiral," he whispered, "you're going to start a galactic war." She didn't look at him. "No, Commander. I'm going to remind them what war truly means." The holographic display showed fleets mobilizing, Valorian cruisers, Thalnari frigates, coalition remnants, all converging toward their position. Every faction wanted to confirm the message or erase it before it spread further. Cade turned to the AI, her eyes glowing brighter. "Activate defensive grids." The AI responded instantly. "Shields online." Weapon systems primed. The Odyssey's exterior lit up like a second sun, layer after layer of ancient armor unfolding. Ratil stepped forward, desperation in his voice. "Please, Admiral. There are millions of innocent lives out there. These people are not the same ones who destroyed your world." Cade stared at him, silent for a long time, then said quietly, "And yet they live in comfort on the ashes of ours." The AI interrupted. "Multiple fleets entering weapons range." "Lock targets," said Cade. Ratil shouted, "You can't do this." Her eyes met his, cold as steel. "I already did this once," she said, "and I'll do it again if I must." The Odyssey's massive cannons rotated into position, ancient systems reawakening with terrifying precision. The ship pulsed with raw energy, drawing power from its restored reactor core outside. The stars dimmed as the shadow of the dreadnought spread across the void. The first enemy fleet opened fire, plasma bolts and energy torpedoes streaking through the darkness. They exploded harmlessly against the Odyssey's shields, leaving ripples of light like raindrops on glass. Cade's lips tightened. "Return fire." The warship roared from its central spine. A single beam of white light erupted, carving through space in an instant. The lead cruiser vanished, vaporized completely. The shockwave tore through its formation, scattering ships like dust. Sensors screamed with overloads. Communication lines went silent. The galaxy had just witnessed the return of human firepower. On the Valorian command bridge, officers shouted in panic, "It's destroying everything. That ship shouldn't exist." Ratil turned away, unable to watch the slaughter. "Admiral," he pleaded again, "stop this, please. This isn't vengeance. This is extinction." Cade's hands trembled for the first time. Her eyes softened, not with mercy but with memory. "The galaxy never gave us mercy," she whispered. Only silence. Then she looked back at the burning debris on the screen. "Cease fire," she ordered. The AI obeyed immediately, the ship falling silent once again. Outside, the wreckage drifted aimlessly, glowing faintly in the dying light. Cade took a long breath, her voice heavy. "Send a new transmission," she said. "Message as follows. Humanity does not seek conquest. But the galaxy will remember the cost of betrayal. Ratil finally spoke, his voice low but firm. If you keep this path, Admiral, you'll start what your ancestors ended. The final war. Cade turned to him, a faint, tired smile touching her lips. Commander, humanity never ended its war. We just fell asleep. The ship's alarms chimed again. Not enemy fire this time. But an incoming signal, Admiral, said the AI, detecting multiple long-range transmissions. Human encryption pattern detected. Her heart skipped a beat. Say that again, she whispered. Multiple sources, said the AI, matching ancient Terran military signatures. Ratil's eyes widened. You mean there are more? Cade stared into the holographic projection, dozens of faint signals blinking across different systems. Her voice trembled. They survived. They're waking up too, the AI confirmed. Horus's Valiant, HSS Solstice, HSS Nemesis and systems online. The realization hit her like a storm. The Odyssey was never alone, it was only the first. Cade straightened, her fear fading, replaced by purpose. Prepare long-range communication relays, she commanded. Tell them the Admiral of the Odyssey has returned, Ratil whispered. What will you do now? She looked toward the stars, her voice steady and final. I'll finish what humanity started outside. The Odyssey turned slowly toward the galactic core, engines blazing brighter than ever, and far beyond, across the dark edges of space. Other human ships began to stir. The galaxy that once buried Earth's memory was about to face its greatest reckoning. The age of silence was over. The wrath of humanity had begun. The message to the galaxy, the HSS Odyssey, drifted through the void like a living storm. Silent but radiating power older than empires, Admiral Sarah Cade stood at the heart of the command bridge, her eyes reflecting the glow of 1,000 holographic stars. Around her, systems hummed with purpose, the hum of a war machine reborn. The faint human transmission they had detected moments earlier still echoed through the speakers, distorted but unmistakably real. After 10,000 years of silence, humanity had spoken again. The AI's voice broke the heavy quiet. Admiral, signal confirmed. It originates from 3 separate systems, all using ancient Terran military encryption. Cade leaned forward, her heart pounding with emotion she refused to show. Her fingers brushed the holographic map. Zooming in on the glowing coordinates, the names flickered into view. Valiant, Solstice, Nemesis, her old comrades, her lost fleet still alive. Still waiting, Ratil stepped closer, his voice quiet but filled with awe. They survived? Cade nodded slowly. No one survives 10,000 years. Commander, not even us they endured, the AI added softly. Partial message decoded, repeating transmission. Then came the voice, distant. Mechanical yet human, Odyssey. This is the Solstice. Status unknown. Awakening, Admiral. We hear you. The bridge fell silent again. Even Ratil, whose species feared little, could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. Cade closed her eyes, a single tear sliding down her cheek before she wiped it away. Patch me through, she said. The AI obeyed instantly, linking the ancient channels together. Across light years, voices began to answer. Weak but alive. Odyssey, this is the Valiant, systems restored. Awaiting command. Nemesis online. What are your orders, Admiral? Her lips curved into a faint smile, the first true smile since her awakening. Stand by for new orders, she said, her tone hardening. Humanity's exile is over. The AI projected live data across the bridge, multiple fleets from alien empires now converging toward the Forbidden Zone. The galaxy was moving fast, chaos spreading through its heart. Governments panicked. Civilians whispered the forbidden word, humans. Every empire that once rose on the bones of Earth was now scrambling to prepare. But it was already too late, Admiral, said Ratil. If you declare war now, you'll burn half the galaxy. The same thing that destroyed yours before. Cade looked at him, her voice calm but firm. I'm not here to destroy, Commander. I'm here to remind. She walked toward the main console, her steps echoing through the silent bridge. Odyssey. Prepare a galaxy-wide broadcast, confirmed, said the AI. Range in all major networks, signal power at maximum. Begin, she said. A deep pulse of energy spread outward, shaking the void. Planets far across the stars suddenly froze their transmissions as every network was overridden. Screens went dark, then flickered to life across thousands of worlds. Faces turned upward as an image appeared. A human woman in a torn admiral's coat, standing before a massive warship surrounded by fire and stars. Her voice carried through every system, soft but unbreakable. To the empires of this galaxy, she began. You built your peace upon our ashes, you erased our name, our history, our blood. For 10,000 years, humanity slept beneath the dust. But the dust remembers. Your maps marked the forbidden zone as dead space. But that was our grave, and you are standing on it, she paused. Her eyes sharp, her words slow and deliberate. We do not seek revenge, we seek truth. The galaxy will learn again what humanity means, not monsters, not gods, survivors. And we are coming home. The message ended with a burst of static and the emblem of the United Terran Defense Command, a simple crest and a broken earth surrounded by stars, glowing faintly like a promise in distant systems. Rulers shouted orders, fleets mobilized, communications jammed, but no matter how they tried, the message could not be erased. It replayed across every channel, looping endlessly, unstoppable. The galaxy could only listen, powerless to silence the ghosts it had buried on the bridge. Ratil whispered, "You've just told every empire that humans still live." Cade turned to him, her expression calm. "They deserve to know," she said. "But Admiral," he said carefully, "they will come for you." Cade looked out at the stars, her voice almost a whisper. "They already did. Commander, a long time ago, and we're still here." The AI's sensors beeped softly. Admiral, multiple encrypted pings detected, all using Terran signatures. The message has awakened dormant networks. "Show me," she said. On the holographic map, hundreds of tiny lights began to appear, spreading across the galactic rim. Old satellites, sleeper drones, buried listening posts, all coming to life. Each one carried the same encoded response, Terra Eternal. Cade smiled faintly. "After all these centuries, they still remember," she whispered. Rydell stared at the spreading signals in disbelief. "Admiral, what happens now?" She looked toward the center of the galaxy, her voice firm and cold. "Now, Commander, we gather what remains, and then we make them remember why they feared us outside." The stars flickered as if bowing to something ancient returning from the dark. The Odyssey turned toward the inner rim, engines flaring like suns. The Forbidden Zone pulsed with light, awakening echoes that had slept too long. And across the galaxy, humanity's name was spoken again, not as myth, not as memory, but as warning. The message was sent, the truth was free, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The return of humanity. The stars burned brighter than ever before. Their light reflected off the hull of the ancient warship HSS Odyssey. Admiral Sarah Cade stood before the viewport, her expression a mix of pride and sorrow. Behind her, the ship's systems thrummed like the heartbeat of a living titan. For the first time in 10,000 years, humanity's flame had reignited, and the galaxy could feel its heat, Admiral, said the AI softly. Dozens of signals continue to awaken across the outer sectors. Cade nodded slowly, her gaze distant. They heard us, she whispered. The sleepers, the hidden colonies, the lost fleets, they all heard the call. Ratil stepped forward, his voice cautious but reverent. Admiral, if they're truly out there, then humanity never died. She turned toward him, her eyes glowing faint blue. No. Commander, she said quietly, we endured. And that's far worse for them outside. The void shimmered with hundreds of new energy signatures, one by one. Massive shapes emerged from hyperspace, colossal vessels, each bearing the insignia of the United Terran Defense Command. The Valiant, the Solstice, the Nemesis, and countless others joined formation around the Odyssey. Their engines burned with golden fire, their hulls cracked and ancient but still alive. Ratil could barely speak. This is a fleet from legend, he whispered. Cade's lips curved slightly. No, Commander. This is a family coming home. Across every major empire, chaos erupted. The Galactic Council's communication networks overflowed with panicked transmissions. Some called for negotiation, others demanded immediate military response. But the truth was undeniable. Humanity had returned. And their power, even after millennia, still dwarfed everything the galaxy had built in their absence. The AI projected a galactic map, showing entire sectors lighting up with human signals. Admiral, it reported, ancient Terran colonies reporting online. Population recovery in progress. New command protocols initializing. Cade exhaled slowly. They're waking faster than I thought, Rattle frowned. You mean, there are people? Living humans? She nodded. Cryocolonies, deep space seed vaults, autonomous generation ships, all designed to wait for my signal. Her voice lowered. They obeyed their final order and to endure. The holographic map suddenly shifted, displaying dozens of alien fleets mobilizing. Valorian, Thalnari, Krix, and countless others, all moving toward the same target, the returning human armada. Admiral, warned the AI, the galaxy is uniting again. They fear annihilation. Cade's expression hardened, her voice calm and cold. They should, but not for the reason they think. She walked to the center of the bridge and raised her hand toward the glowing hologram. Open channel to all systems. The AI complied instantly. Across the stars, every broadcast frequency flickered once more. The image of Admiral Cade appeared again on billions of screens, her voice echoing through the void. People of the galaxy, she said, for ages you called us monsters, destroyers, myths. You feared what we were capable of, and so you buried our history, erased our name, and built your peace on our ashes. Her tone deepened. But understand this, humanity does not rise to destroy. We rise to survive. We were never your enemy. You made us one. Her words resonated through countless worlds. On some, children wept, on others, soldiers watched silently. No one spoke. No one dared interrupt. She continued, her voice steady as iron. We remember the worlds we lost, the friends we buried, and the enemies who burned our skies. But we also remember mercy, something the galaxy forgot. The return of humanity is not vengeance. It is balance. The feed ended and silence consumed the stars. Moments later, the AI announced, Admiral, incoming transmissions, hundreds of them. From who? She asked. Mixed origins, said the AI. Some hostile, some pleading for parley. Cade turned to Ratil, her expression unreadable. What would you do, Commander? He hesitated, then said softly, if I were you, I would choose to lead, not to burn. She gave a faint nod. That's what I was hoping you'd say. The AI suddenly pulsed with light. Admiral, incoming hyperspace rupture detected. A colossal ripple appeared outside the viewport. Not one, but several. Through them emerged ships so massive that even the Odyssey seemed small beside them. Ancient Titan-class dreadnoughts, the forgotten gods of the Sol War. Each bore human markings, each alive, each answering the same ancient code. The void itself seemed to tremble. Ratil whispered, how many of these are there? Cade's eyes remained on the fleet, her voice quiet but powerful. Enough, she said. Enough to make the galaxy listen. Outside, the reawakened human armada formed into perfect alignment. Old command codes lit the darkness, each ship responding like a single heartbeat. The Odyssey moved to the front of the formation, leading the fleet that time had forgotten. In that moment, every empire, every ruler, every watcher in the galaxy realized the age of humans had not ended. It had only been waiting. Cade turned to her AI one last time. Set a course for the Galactic core, she said. Destination? The AI asked. Her eyes glowed brighter, her voice carrying the fire of 10,000 lost souls. Home, she said simply. The engines roared, the stars bent, and the ancient fleet vanished into the light of hyperspace behind them. The echo of their return spread through every corner of the galaxy. Not as myth, not as fear, but as truth, humanity had returned, and the universe would never be the same again.